Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to RPI Data Science. Today, I would like to show you how to do animated bar plots. To do that, the first thing we need to do is we have to load some libraries, and then we will read the data, and then at the end we will do some ggplot. Using ggplot2, we will plot a bar plot, and later we will see how to make it more interactive and make it more animated. So the animation will show you how the progress of the bar will progress across time, or maybe in some kind of time series data. So before that, let me first load some libraries that I want. So the first thing is I need to load ggplot2. That's for doing the plotting, and then next I will do some plotly so that we can see some interactive plots. Plotly is really a very one of the most popular plotting packages, which works in many languages, in R or Python or MATLAB, or in many other languages, also in Julia. So it's really a really popular package, but for this purpose we will just use ggplot2, and then finally we will use ggplotly function from plotly, and then we see the values in the bar plot. Finally, we will use ggAnimate for some functions, for some additional arguments in our ggplot2 plot, so that we can see how the animation works in with our bar plot. And later I will use the read Excel package, because the data that I'm going to use is from it's with Excel format, so I will need to use the read Excel package so that I will be able to read the data. So the first thing is I need to do load the data. So this data is coming from step count. That's step count. Step count is like my daily steps. So you can use your app like step tracker or something, some kind of physical activity tracker, so that it can track your physical activity. So you just need to you have to walk like 10,000 steps per day, actually. That's the WHO recommendation, or actually this 10,000 steps is kind of controversial, because it's why it's 10,000. That's actually coming from the Japanese language. So I can probably show you why is this 10,000. It's kind of funny. So let me show you 10,000 in Japanese. That's in Japanese language, 10,000. The way you write 10,000. 10,000 in Japanese. It's funny because it's somehow the way you write 10,000 in Japanese is I can't find it. Yeah, okay. This is the way you write 10,000 in Japanese language. It looks like a walking man. It's like a man walking. So this is 10,000. So that's why 10,000 is actually chosen to be a marker of the recommendation, because in the end it becomes some evidence based that 10,000 steps helps you to prevent chronic diseases, or it helps you to achieve some disease prevention or something. So that's actually, as I said, it's coming from the Japanese language, because it was a kind of brand for walking promotion in Japan, but in the end it becomes a global evidence for physical activity recommendations and the like. So let's ignore the history of this step count, 10,000 steps. So now I need to read. Let me first load the package so that I will have access to the function, and then I read Excel. I will use read Excel. Then I will have to call my data. So the data is I'll just call the paths of my data. Let me just put it here so that I will be able to read. That's from step count, and this step count is I was simply tracking step count of my step count for September. So you see it shows date and this is just the month September and the number of steps that I walked and the kilometers. So it's like it's converting the steps into kilometers. So with this you can have a look. So for some of the steps I'm below the 10,000 recommendations, but for most of them I'm more than the way actually more than the recommended step count levels. So in this case, for example, I'm walking 20,000. Here it's like 28,000, almost 3 times more than the recommended. But that's a long time ago. It's in 2020 actually. Now I'm unfortunately less physically active, because of the situation with this the pandemic. But let me now go straight to the plot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to plot the date, the month. This is September, and the steps. The steps will be on the y-axis, and the months will be on the x-axis. So that for that I will just use a bar plot. So what I need is I need to use the ggplot2. So if you know ggplot2 is like it's a grammar. It follows its own grammar. In English you write the subject of the sentence comes first and the verb comes at the second position and the object comes at the end. So it's it's subject verb object. Just like that, ggplot2 has its own grammar. So the first one is data. The data argument comes first. Then the next is aesthetic mapping, and then at the end the geom function. That's really the basic ggplot2 system, ggplot2 grammar. And then at the end you can add the themes and all the different parameters like the stat and so on and so forth. But if you really do until here, you can achieve your plot. The rest is like manipulating your labels, the x and the y labels, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, it's this is really the basic structure of in English you can write complex sentences, you can add prepositions and so on and so forth, just like that. You write subject verb object, but here you use data. The data comes first, and then the aesthetic mapping, and then at the geom function. That's how it follows. So let me go straight to my plotting. So ggplot, and as I said, the first argument is data, so that will be my step count. Then what comes next is the aesthetic mapping. For the aesthetic mapping I will use AES, and then the x and the y argument. The x will be let me just use September, the month that I have in my data, and the y would be steps. Then at the end I can simply use geom bar. So if I use this, the plot will not work because I have to define. Let me drop this so that I can have more readable. So if I run this, I will have some error because I will have to define the stat. So for that, let me just show the stat should be identity, so that it should plot just the data that I have without changing into scaling or something. So this is just the basic plot, how the basic plot look like. If I want, I can change the color by just using this fill argument. Let me make it dark blue. I love blue color, and so it looks like this. Maybe you can also change it to whatever color format you want. Then finally, let me save it into plot, for example, and then let me run it. Now we can access some interactive plots so that we can have access to the values directly, so that you can use ggplotly. That's coming from plotly. So the ggplotly, and then you pass your ggplot2 object, and that's my plot. So I just simply pass this plot object, run it, and then I will have access to the values. Let me run this. So if I zoom it a bit, so you can have access to the values like this. So you see in 14th September 14, I worked only 1907, and then September 15 I worked 18,000, and here, and you know, every time you move your cursor, it shows you the values. So that's a really nice feature of Plotly. So if you are presenting something, so you can access the values in each bar, where in ggplot2 you will not have access to the plot, to the values. So you see, this is the ggplot2 plot, but this is the Plotly plot. But we can also make it nicer by animating this plot. So that to do that, we just need to add a few more arguments, and then we can have access to we can make it more interactive. So to do that, what I can do is I can simply repeat my command, which I just did above here, like this. Maybe because before that, we can also add something like 10,000. So 10,000 is the cut point. So if you are walking more than 10,000 steps, you are active, and if you are walking less than 10,000 steps, you are more sedentary, so lazy. So for that, we just need to add some horizontal line that's added by geom h line. That's the geom horizontal line. So if you want the vertical line, that means the geom v line. So here we just need a horizontal line, and then we define the y-intercept. So y-intercept will be 10,000 because that's our steps. And let me color it. Let me give it a dark green color because that's our desirable point. So everything below the desirable point would be undesirable, and above that desirable point will be more desirable. So, and then we can define the size, how thick the line should be. And let me run this, and then you will have this line. So you see 10,000. So everything below this line, I was less active, sedentary, but on the other days I was more active. So which is a good indicator of to quickly to quickly grasp your data. Now what I want is I want to add additional arguments so that I will be able to I will be able to actually make it animated. For that, I just need to add a few more arguments. That's transition. So the transition states, that's what I need. Transition states, that means the state where one plot moves to the next. So that's the state is not the you define the x variable, and that's let me just, you don't need to write anything, so you just write the variable in the bracket and then see what happens. So if I do this, it will just show me the animated plot, but there will still be some additional points missing. So wait a bit until it renders it. And it's really quick. Now it's already done. So now you see the bar is moving. Probably it might be a good idea to do it in HTML viewer. So you see the plot is moving every month, every day. Then it's coming back, it's playing it again. But you see, as you see, the plot is just moving, but it's not living, it's not keeping the other levels, the other bars as they are, but it's just moving one bar, and then it comes back and it finished just one bar moving. But what we need is we need to keep all the other bars as they are. So for that, what we need is one simple argument, and that's shadow mark. That's shadow. So we will keep the shadow the shadow should be kept as it is. So shadow mark, and that's all. We don't need anything else. So let me run this, and now it will take a little bit of time again, the same as previous plotting. And now it's rendering using this GIF ski renderer. If you don't have GIF ski renderer, you have to install besides the ggplot2 and the ggAnimate package, ggAnimate. So you will have to use the GIF ski renderer. So that's what renders your animation. So now we should be ready. It's now coming. Just let's wait for it, and it will be done in a minute. It's taking a little bit I didn't expect this will take this long. Yeah, but it's coming there. Maybe I should pause it. No, it's already there. So now it's rendering. It will just matter of few seconds. Now it will be rendering it. So let's wait a bit. Now it's there. So it's keeping the shadow marks. So let's open it in HTML viewer. Then you see now the plot is moving. It goes. Yeah, it's keeping the previous shadows. That's the shadow mark. So that means it's leaving the a mark of its previous shadow. Yeah. So that's a simple way of doing animated bar plots. So I hope you like this plotting. You don't. I mean, this is really an easy thing, but it's more interactive, especially if you are presenting it in. If you are presenting your plot in a presentation or something. I always use this kind of plotting, this kind of data visualization instead of just a static plot, which might be a little boring. Still, it's okay, but if you have this moving picture, it may catch your audience. But you can also shorten the time between the time it takes to move from one plot to the next. I would advise to look at this ggAnimate package for that. It's really nice package. It has so many beautiful functions. Yeah, to animate line plot, especially for for a plot like yeah, this is animated like bubble point plots. So it goes across petal wheels and the like. Anyway, I really recommend looking at ggAnimate and Plotly. Actually, they are both nice data visualization package besides using ggplot2. I hope you like this video. If you like it, I know what I know you know what you need to do. Keep